part of Saturdays with Bill and Dave on KINA. Call 309-0910 and tell everyone what's on your mind.
So, by the way, Sam has been at work here. As we told you at the beginning of the program, we had scheduled the bikers against child abuse, and there was a little foul up in scheduling, so we have rescheduled them for 9:30. Is it 9:30 next week? We'll be talking about the bikers against child abuse, their benefit run coming up on Saturday, June the 9th. So, okay, as we said, talk about shifting gears here. We're talking with, and I believe, if I get it right, is it Shally George? Is that it?
Shaylee George.
Shaylee, okay, I'm sorry, but nice to have you with us, and she is with the Orphan Train complex up in Concordia, and we'll just start off with the loaded question, what the heck is or was the Orphan Train?
Yes, good question. So the Orphan Train was the largest child migration movement that we know of to date, not only in the United States but across the globe. We're not the only one, but between 1854 to 1929, 250,000 children at least were moved out of orphanages in the East and Midwest cities and to homes out west into foster situations and adoptive homes. And so it's the beginning of foster care as we know it in America.
What was the purpose of moving them from orphanages? Was the goal to place them in homes at that point?
Yeah, the goal was to place them in a home where they could not only prosper as just being a child, but to really see what a home was, because they'd realized very quickly in an orphanage, these kids aged out at 18 had very little experience in the real world because they were kept out of it, and they had very little money, if they had any at all, and very little training. And so very quickly they turn to crime because they need to survive, and they fall quickly into poverty. And the cycle starts all over again, and they have no basis of knowing how to be a good parent because they had none. And so getting them into a situation where they can learn the culture and learn how to be successful was actually the best way to do it. And they did a very good job of it. Sadly, media would tell you a different story, but the records ring true. We find about 80% of them had successful homes. Some were moved in and out of homes and found better homes, but more than 90% were successful individuals in life.
What was the contributing factor to the number of orphans at that particular time?
Oh, well, a lot. I mean, immigration is a big role, but it's not to blame. It's more the response to immigration, where aid organizations were not federally controlled, and so a lot of prejudice can creep in. And so if you were not the right nationality, if you weren't the right religion, and a lot of times for kids, if you were not the right legitimacy, if you were not conceived when your parents were married, sometimes you don't get aid. And a lot of times for parents, if you drink or if you don't live on the right side of town, you don't get help. And so sadly, when those people are not getting the aid that they need in these big cities, very quickly kids pay the price for that.
Talking about Irish immigrants and Italian immigrants.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge, vast array of people that come in. We actually find that 45 nationalities get placed out from 5 different continents. And so it's bigger than I think anyone ever dreamed it was. It seems very European, based for the immigration, but there are kids from Egypt and Syria and Turkey and Japan that also find themselves on the Orphan Train.
Shayla, tell us again, what was the time frame that the Orphan Train was actually in operation?
Yeah, 1854 to 1929.
Okay. So this is quite a piece of history that is right up at Concordia, the National Orphan Train Complex, which is at 300 Washington Street up there, and she is the curator. Well, what do you have up there? What is going on to come to see?
Yeah, so next week we'll have our big celebration. We celebrate every year. We used to have reunions for the riders. Sadly, we are dwindling in numbers and their ability to come visit us. But we have our Depot Museum, which is located in our 1917 Union Pacific Depot, which tells the story of the Orphan Train, shares their artifacts, shares their personal stories. But we also have our research center, so if people are looking for their Orphan Train riders, this is who they contact. We get them in touch with the right people in New York if that's where they need to go. But we also do genealogical research for them. And we also are just getting started to complete our train car station. We have a restored train car that came to us from Marion, Kansas, and was owned by one of the adoptive fathers who took in an orphan train rider, and she used it as a playhouse and a chicken coop. And that building will also store more exhibits.
I believe I have seen a couple of documentaries, and I'm not sure. Was there a movie made about the orphan train?
Yes, I think it's about the 1970s. It was based off a book, and it's Glenn Close's third movie, I believe. It's very, very early on in her career. It's a pretty great movie. You can see it on YouTube. But there are